welcome you all to the 16th lecture of the course on International Investment Law and the Environment. And in this lecture, we will be looking at one more investment protection standard, and that is full protection and security. So this is one clause that you will find in an international investment agreement. Sometimes the provision will say the investors shall be given full protection and security, or sometimes you might find most constant protection and security has to be given, or sometimes you will find constant protection and security has to be given. So whatever wordings it is written, but we still consider it to be an FPS clause, full protection and security clause. This clause is not new to bilateral investment treaties. This is something that you will find in Abbe-Shawcross draft itself. We discussed about Abbe-Shawcross draft in the 13th video. Right. So there also we could see in 1960s itself, people were talking about giving a full protection and security right to the investors, or a protection to the investor. So it's been discussed. Energy Charter Treaty has it, and many other bilateral investment treaty also has it. But if we see, it is not a very popular protection as that of FET clause. FET is a very popular clause, right? But FPS was not traditionally invoked in many cases. But then the tribunal started giving expansive interpretation to this clause. Then we see now FPS has also been invoked in many cases. Initially, this clause was envisaged to mean that physical protection is given to the investment, and similarly the very first case that was decided by ICSID, AAPL versus Sri Lanka, then there was a discussion with regard to FPS clause as well, and there also with regard to the physical protection given to the investment. But eventually what happened was, take this Czech Republic cases, Robert Lauder versus Czech Republic as well as CME versus Czech Republic. These two cases were filed, and in this case, FPS clause was argued to mean much more than physical protection given to the investment. It was argued that it also extends to legal protection as well, because in this Czech Republic had taken a measure where it had changed the legal regime governing the TV licenses. And when there was a change in TV license regime, so that they stated that affected the legal protection over the investment, and that is something that amounted to a violation of FPS clause. And in fact, CME versus Czech Republic, Robert Lauder was decided in favor of Hoste, but CME versus Czech Republic was something that was decided in favor of the investor. And here what they stated was, yes, FPS clause can also be interpreted to mean legal protection that is beyond physical protection. So there were many other tribunals wherein such an expansive interpretation to FPS standard was given. Since then, it has been invoked also. If we look at Evan versus Costa Rica, so initially Evan and others were US nationals. They challenged Costa Rica for certain measures that Costa Rica had taken. And in that case, in the notice of arbitration, they did not invoke FPS, but at the end of the hearing, they wanted to invoke FPS standard, right? So this is something that I am highlighting to show that how FPS has started becoming a very important standard. But then the Evan tribunal stated that you cannot invoke FPS violation at the end of a hearing. You should have ideally done it in notice of arbitration itself, so they didn't entertain the claim. But what we see here is there is a increasing trend in invoking FPS violation also because of the expansive interpretation that has been given. So what are the states trying to do about the excessive interpretation of FPS standard? Now if we look at Model India BIT also, we have FPS clause. Again, then there's one more paragraph that says that for greater certainty, FPS clause is limited only to physical protection of the property, and it cannot be interpreted to mean legal protection as well. So that is something explicitly being clarified in the text of the treaty itself. So that at least is the approach of India. Right. So the countries at the time of negotiating the treaty itself could clarify it. One other thing that you should know about FPS clauses, FPS clause may be again tied to some other qualifier. Most popular one is international law. If we look at Article 1105 of NAFTA also, then FPS clause is something that is tied to international law. The FTC's interpretation also says. So in most cases, FET clause and FPS clause would be written in one paragraph itself, where both of them will be tied to international law. So this is something again you should know about FPS clause, full protection and security clause. So we will know how some sort of an environmental regulatory measure is being challenged by the investor by saying that that amounts to violation of legal protection that was granted, and then we could see the investors invoking FPS clause as well. So this is one provision that you should know or have a clarity about, especially to understand the cases that we'll be discussing in 6th, 7th and 8th week of the course. So with that, I conclude our discussion on full protection and security clause. So in the next video, we'll be discussing about certain anti-discriminatory provision that you find in bilateral investment treaties. Mostly there are the two anti-discriminatory provisions, national treatment and most favored nation treatment. Those of you who are well versed with international trade law, you will have a preliminary understanding of these provisions, but it operates in a different way in the context of investment treaty. So that is something that we will discuss in the next video. Thank you.